judges are ready. The fighters are ready. The boxing world is ready.
The fight starts now!
Let's go.
How do you like it? On the show.
So aggressive, so focused.
It all comes down to this. Still the undisputed champion of the world. DAZN Fight Night Countdown.
Welcome to the DAZN Boxing Show presented by Paramount's Novocaine, only in theaters on March 14th. I'm Chris Mannix. He is the Latin Snake, Sergio Mora. And Sergio, we are back in Puerto Rico on DAZN. Subriel Matias, another big fight in his home country, this time against Gollaz Valenzuela. And there is no world title on the line in this fight like there was against Liam Paro a couple of fights ago. But a win for Matias would put him next in line for the title currently held by Richardson Hitchens. Sergio, we've seen kind of some of the shine come off Matias since that loss to Paro, but do you still see him as one of the most feared fighters at 140 pounds?
You know, I'm the one that labeled him a boogeyman leading to that loss to Paro because he was beating and knocking out guys that weren't, undefeated, guys that aren't accustomed to getting knocked out. And he was making them submit. He was making the referee stop the fight, the corner stop the fight, guys giving up. That was a boogeyman to me. This dude had a high knockout ratio. He was knocking out everybody. Everyone they put in front of him went down by knockout. So yes, he was a boogeyman until we saw Paro do what he did. Liam Paro's an excellent boxer. He was able to move around, not let Matias plant his feet. So he made him look suspect, and there's still questions there. I'm not a full believer in Matias, and I know I'm the one that called him boogeyman, but I'm also, I can reflect and say that I was wrong there. So until Matias proves me and everyone else wrong, to this day, Matias is still suspect.
Yeah, I think the shine and the fear has come off Matias. During that run where he was picking up a lot of high-profile knockouts, just wearing guys down with his power, with his aggression, making guys quit on their stool. I mean, that was the definition of a boogeyman. Nobody wanted to fight him. I mean, Richardson Hitchens can say what he wants, but he had opportunities in the last year and a half to fight Subriel Matias. He did not take them. What Liam Paro showed is that if you come into a fight against Matias in great shape, and with a game plan to box, you've got a great chance to win. I mean, he really frustrated Matias during that fight. Matias wants you to engage in a slugfest. Matias wants to be in kind of a street fight because that's sort of the boxing version of what he is. He's not a fighter with great technique. He doesn't have good footwork. He just goes in there and pressures you and tries to slug it out with you. So, yeah, I think the shine has come off them. All that being said, if you don't have, both of the things I just mentioned, the conditioning and the game plan, he's going to beat you because he is going to wear you down. He's going to get to you in the fourth, fifth, sixth, later rounds of this fight. Look at that, fight against Ergashev. When Ergashev was undefeated at that time, big puncher. Ergashev unloaded everything he had in the first couple of rounds of that fight, and Matias just kind of smiled and kept on coming. So, I think Matias can still be a fearsome fighter at 140. I just think he's not quite as feared as he used to be, which brings us to the fight against Valenzuela. Does Valenzuela have those things? Does he have those tools to beat Subriel Matias?
We call Valenzuela's fights, and he's a cagey fighter, clever. He's tough. He's he has experience. He has around 34 fights. He's only come up short against a talented fighter. But that's experience, and that's experience against a guy in Matias that has a lot of questions that need to be answered. And power's not going to intimidate Valenzuela. He's one of these tough Mexicans that power's not going to be enough. He's going to respect guys that have conditioning, have technique, and guys that find a way to win and footwork. And Matias doesn't have none of the above. So it's going to be power versus aggression. And I think that falls into the hands of someone like Valenzuela. It goes into the second half of the fight. And if he does get a knockout, Matias, it's going to be, by wearing down a tough Mexican. That's how Mexicans just stop or touching him in the body. Other than that, I see another decision win and where people still continue to question him.
I think he gets a stoppage. I think he wears him down, and I think he gets him in the final third of the fight. Valenzuela has won 5 fights in a row since that decision loss to Montana Love, but it has not been a great run of opponents. His best win was probably a majority decision win over Steve Spark. And we were there in Guadalajara that night for that fight, Sergio. I don't think he beat Steve Spark on that night. I think he got a gift of a decision in that fight. So I think he is going to be competitive for the first 5 or 6 rounds, but I think we will see Subriel Matias wear him down and get a stoppage in the second half of this fight. All right. Also on Saturday, you have Tank Davis putting his undefeated record on the line against another world champion, 130-pound title holder, Lamont Roach. Lamont Roach, a well-known fighter in the boxing community, fights out of the D.C. area, a very talented fighter at 130 pounds, but he's going up in weight to take on Tank Davis at 135. Sergio, does Lamont Roach have what it takes to hand Tank Davis his first loss?
Absolutely not. And this is just another fighter that Tank is having to weight bully, coming up from 130. And there you're going to have it with Lamont Roach, who's a good fighter. Actually, he's better than good. He's damn good. I like Lamont Roach. He's smart. He has quick hands. He has good upper body movement, excellent feet. But he's a smaller fighter moving up, man. What's up with Tank? What is up with this man who's supposed to be fighting the best at 135 and he's not doing it? So I think Lamont Roach, just like Frank Martin, is going to do well. He's going to, he's going to go into the second half of the fight. He's going to have some hand speed, some footwork, stay off the ropes, keep the fight in the middle of the ring. But little by little, Tank is going to do what he does. He cuts off the ring and starts putting the pressure on. He puts it on another gear. He really imposes his will from that southpaw stance. He starts nailing those big left hands to the body, uppercuts, and then guys start to, shake and not really know what they're doing. That's when they get knocked out because they're not accustomed to that level. So I think Roach does well, but it's just another knockout show by Tank.
Yeah, I just don't think Roach has the power to make Tank respect him. I think he's a good fighter. I think he's improved as a fighter since that loss to Jamel Herring. He won the title clean against Hector Luis Garcia. But if you're going to keep Tank off balance, if you're going to keep him from just walking you down, you better be able to throw something back that he respects. And I don't think Lamont Roach has that type of power. Look, we haven't seen Tank Davis collect many early knockouts. That's not his MO. He just kind of slowly but surely advances on you, wears you down, and either catches you with a counter shot or hits you with a straight left hand. I think the exact same thing is going to happen to Lamont Roach. I can't envision a scenario here where he does enough over 12 rounds to beat Tank. I don't think he can survive 12 rounds. I mean, Tank is not a high output puncher, but he eventually gets to you. Look at some of these recent fights. I mean, Hector Luis Garcia, Ryan Garcia, Frank Martin, all these guys had some success to a degree against Tank early on, but Tank eventually got to him. I think the exact same thing is going to happen to Lamont Roach on fight night. So Tank has said, Sergio, that when he wins, he is going to call someone out in the ring on fight night. So who do you hope that Tank Davis calls out?
Anyone of relevance, any champion, anyone with a belt. It's not going to be Shakur Stevenson.
That's not a name. That's not a name.
I'm getting there, Chris Mannix. It's not going to be Shakur Stevenson, so don't hold your breath. It's not going to be Lomachenko, because Lomachenko will probably dance circles around him even at this point of his career. It's certainly not going to be Keyshawn Davis, because that guy's on a trajectory, way too talented, and it's going to be too much for Tank. So I don't know Zepeda, but Zepeda's going to be fighting Tevin Farmer. It's probably going to be some other guy on that list that I didn't mention. If we're lucky, it's Loma, because Loma's been, the smaller fighter coming up, and he's an older fighter. He's at the end of his career. So there you go. I'm going to go with Loma, but I still don't think it happens.
Okay. Well, for starters, the idea that Tank hasn't wanted or wouldn't want a Loma fight is ridiculous. Like, they were in deep negotiations for a fight. They had the framework of a deal effectively done last fall before Loma decided he needed to step away, that he wasn't ready to go. So Tank hasn't ducked Loma, at least not recently. He has been willing to face Lomachenko. It's Lomachenko that's not really sure if he wants to fight Tank or anybody at this point. The name I think is most interesting is Keyshawn Davis, because Keyshawn Davis is on kind of a meteoric rise right now. He beats and knocks out Gustavo Lemos in his hometown in Virginia, does it in front of a huge crowd, spectacular win, high-profile performance, follows that up by winning a world title, stopping Dennis Baranchik, winning every minute of every round of that fight. Keyshawn's got some momentum. He's a good talker. He's a fun fighter. That would make for a fun fight, I think, in the ring. And I've heard Tank in the past talk about how much he kind of respects what Keyshawn is doing. So that's the name I want to see Tank Davis call up, because I think, even though I think he's better than Keyshawn, mostly because Keyshawn, I think, still needs some more experience, some more seasoning before he's ready for a fight on that level. That, to me, Sergio, is the name I think he's gonna call.
I think you're going to be wrong and disappointed. I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed when Tank decides on who he's fighting next, because it's not going to be on the guys that we just mentioned. It's going to be someone just below them, or someone coming up in weight, because we know that's what Tank Davis likes to do. So it'll be someone respectable, but it won't be someone on the championship level, because that's what a Gervonta Davis resume is. It's guys coming up in weight, and they're not championship caliber guys or guys with a world title. So, we're already hearing about Gervonta Davis calling it a career. He said he's going to retire this year. You really think at this point of his career, after being a killer for so long, knocking out the guys, good fighters, but not champions, that they put in front of him, he's finally, at the end of a career, going to step up and take a big chance on a dangerous opponent where he can lose it all, lose his blemished career and risk getting embarrassed? You are absolutely crazy if you think that that's what he's going to do. Team Tank's going to protect him all the way to the end. All right. So you can hold your breath. It's not going to happen.
Well, again, he was willing to put it on the line against Lomachenko.
All I heard was, but, what if? No, until it's there in front of him, fighting him, or it's on his resume, that's when I respect it. That's when a lot of fighters are going to respect someone like Tank. They respect his power. We just can't respect his resume.
I don't disagree with that. I do think that if he does call somebody out, it's going to be somebody of significance. He's not going to call out like Josh Padley for a fight. Like, he's going to call out somebody notable. Before I let you go, Sergio, before we go, you were well known in your fighting days as one of the most annoying human beings in boxing. Your antics were up there. What did you make of Conor Benn getting egged by Chris Eubank Jr. at the opening press conference?
I was frustrating and annoying with my defense. All right. But I didn't like antics. I don't like, I like promoting a fight. I like selling a fight. I like guys that do a lot of talking.
You don't like antics. Danny Jacobs called you the most annoying fighter he's ever gone up against.
Yeah, but that's just because I was, quick with my wit. I was quick with my words. I said things to piss him off. I have that look, Mannix. But it's not that I wasn't slapping guys. I wasn't pushing guys. I wasn't, cracking eggs on people's faces. Look, we're all talking about it. Eubank is not a talker. He's one of these guys that selects his words carefully, and the way he speaks and the way he carries himself, and very regal. You want to slap him with an egg, all right? But I'm glad that he did that, because he sold a fight, and now we're all talking about it. Conor Benn could sell a fight, but he does it inside the ring. So I just think it was master promoting on both their end, and it was a real deal, because these guys hate each other. And that picture of Conor Benn with egg in his face, with that mean look on his face, that went all around the world already. So there you go. Everyone can't wait for this fight to sell, because these guys are going to want to take each other's head off. What do I think about it? I loved it.
Yeah. I think you wish that you did it against Jacobs before the second fight. That's what I think.
He would have killed me. Even worse.
I've got this condition where I don't feel pain.
I would get a glove.
You're a superhero.
Really? Please stay alive. I need you to explain all this to the cops.
I'll stay alive.
I promise.
Novocaine, March 14th.